What's up, y'all? Welcome to Political Fight Club. I'm Robert Durden. Very short episode. We're going to talk about 2 or 3 things briefly. First and foremost, of course, I shot myself in the hair. Yeah, big deal. Now Tim Black has a ton of fodder for when he drops his diss track on me saying I look like a white supremacist. That will be funny. Anyway, update on the book club. We're going to do The Devil's Highway next by Luis Alberto Urrea. I figured with all the Haitian immigrants and the deportation that Joe Biden and his administration have been doing over the last couple of weeks, it's really been in the news. I figured this was appropriate. It's not that long. We won't read it out loud the way I did with the last book, but I will go through each chapter, per episode. We'll do one chapter, and I'll give you an analysis on it. And then at the end, there's an interesting commentary that's by the author as well, so we'll go through that as well. So, The Devil's Highway, up next. Secondly, AOC and the squad are up to shenanigans again. They all voted to put sanctions on Cambodia. Our donation money hard at work there, as usual. So as you guys know, I'm 100% against sanctions. It's economic warfare. And Lord knows, this is exactly what we can expect from the Biden CIA administration, where they just, they de-invest from their war in Afghanistan, even though they continue to drone strike there. They pull out all their public troops. But that's going to mean that they're going to get their fingers in other countries. So I don't know exactly why we're doing this to Cambodia. I will look that up. But I just saw that they all voted to sanction Cambodia. Who could have seen that coming? So let's talk about also tangentially related and actually really directly related to this. Unapologetic wrote an awesome article on Substack that I read earlier today about how the FEC filings for Ro Khanna, Pramila Jayapal, Ilhan Omar, and AOC, over the last 3 years, they have given $13 million to neoliberal consultants, like DNC consultants. Now, does that surprise you at all with the way Nina Turner ran her campaign? She did exactly the same thing, took a bunch of donation money and donated it and gave it to consultants who helped run her campaign into the ground. And as it turns out, the squad is doing exactly the same thing. There's nobody dumber in Washington. Kyle Kulinski says this, and he's correct. There's no one dumber in Washington than neoliberal DNC consultants. No one can railroad a good campaign better than these people. And they're giving them millions of dollars, people that we put in there. So what Unapologetic says in the article, which is very astute, is there's a strict correlation, and you can basically predict how all of these Justice Democrats are going to actually fight for progressive policy, or in this case, not fight for progressive policy, by tracking where they put their money in terms of consultants. So $13 million from those 4 over the last 3 years. Not at all surprising, yet still, they're unbelievable in some ways. They could not let me down further, and yet they still figure out a way to do it every single day. So props to Unapologetic. I'll put a link to that article below on his Substack. So and lastly, I saw Jeff Stein's Twitter account earlier today, that now Medicare at age 60 is off the table in the infrastructure bill. So if Joe Manchin gets what he wants, and the bill that is currently being held at $3.5 trillion by the Squad Inc., if he gets what he wants, he's going to drag it down to something like 1.8. He's saying like 1 to 1.5 right now. He'll get his way. He'll drag them. They won't drag him in this tug of war here. And he'll drag Bernie and the squad all the way to 1.8 or something like that. If that's the case, there's only a few things you can get into the bill with that, up, 200-300 billion off of his current bid, which is like 1.5 trillion, up to 1.7 or 1.8, it's like 300 billion extra dollars. If that's all that he gives, then we're looking at basically like Medicare at age 60. Of course, that's off the table already. But we're looking at no universal pre-K, no community college. What we might get is like hearing and dental added to Medicare, which I guess is Medicare expansion, but it's less than crumbs. And then we might get like the child tax credit might be extended, but even that I heard is on the chopping block. which I thought that was like the last thing that the Democrats would be stupid enough to cut, is the child tax credit. And I don't think that's a good, like, necessarily child tax credits are the way to go, but I thought that was one of the things that they would definitely keep in there. And then they would point to that during election season as like, well, no, we have the tax credit coming in, and you guys can see that in your bank accounts, so maybe it would conjure up votes. But they're so fucking stupid, and the squad is going to give. Manchin's going to get what he wants. So what we're looking at is, like, we might get hearing and dental added to Medicare. That's about it. So, thank a squad member today. Thank a neoliberal shit zipper who said vote blue no matter who, and to trust Joe Biden to do the right thing and force Joe Manchin to do the right thing. No, that's not going to happen. Lastly, again, Unapologetic actually laid out Jordan Sheridan yesterday on his show, because Jordan was talking about the things that I just told you as if that they're even likely to be included. He's like, oh, if this passes the way that it is, you know, if the squad really stands resolute and they get the $3.5 trillion bill that has the, you know, expansion of Medicare, lowering of the age to 60 instead of 65, and if it gets hearing and dental, if it gets universal pre-K and universal, you know, yeah, the child care pre-K, if it gets the community college, everybody gets to go to school for a 2-year degree, then it'll be an awesome bill. As if that's actually going to fucking happen. And also, he roasts Jordan for being, like, praising the crumbs that the $3.5 trillion bill is. Even if it passes as is, it's still fucking crumbs, Jordan. So watch the video. I'll also post a link to that. Unapologetic's been putting out some good content lately. Awesome job there. And also, again, you know, shout out to those kayak activists that surrounded Joe Manchin's boat earlier in their kayaks and actually went after him. Let's go further. Do more. Fuck with Joe Manchin as much as we possibly can. We have to bully him and Kyrsten Sinema to some sort of, like, maybe a $2 trillion bill. Fuck with him. Let's annoy him. Don't let him sleep. We can figure out ways to make his life miserable until he at least meets us in the middle on this, which is really not even meeting in the middle. It's like, we need 15 trillion. Meeting in the middle is not 2 trillion, but that's where we are in American politics. So keep fighting the good fight out there, guys. I'll talk to you later.